Hello, welcome tonight. We're thrilled to have you here in the Beacon of Light audience tonight. Thank you for coming here live. And we have an awesome guest who's going to discuss about chasing something that we all think, or at least at one moment in our lives, thought was really important, but maybe not. So she's going to explain a lot to us. Her name is Rachel Brooks. Before I start talking to her, let's jump into this. I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now. We're back. Thank you, everyone, for being here live tonight. We have a wonderful audience, and thank you for all of your questions that you might have tonight. So let's get started. Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, April, for having me. This is incredible to be a part of this podcast, but also just the story. And I couldn't agree more about having that beacon of light and its hope. And so for those, I am Rachel Brooks. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur, author, speaker, podcaster, and founder of The Confident Woman, a lifestyle and media brand that really aims to equip, empower, and educate women to create that lasting change within, give them hope, instill that confidence, and ignite that spark within.
Amazing. The whole idea of really being confident is it really puts you out there in a lot of different ways. And I think maybe you'll dispel this for us. In that confidence, we might feel a little nervous and think that perfection is part of the confidence. So we can't really be confident until we're first, as perfect as possible. Why don't you talk to that a little bit and see, if I'm off or where we're going with that?
Yes, absolutely. So if we think that we have to be perfect to be confident, that's the antithesis of confidence, because perfection doesn't exist. It's an illusion we're chasing, that we think that if we have something perfect, or if we nailed something perfect, or if we do it enough, therefore translate into, are we enough? But the reality is that chase is drive is like that feels like we get to where we need to do things, so then we will have in confidence that we will feel enough. And that's what we find in chase perfection. We're really not chasing anything particular, but it's an internal that says, I am lacking, I'm missing something. Something is in the perceived value of how we think of ourselves and which is enough. So really, after this enoughness, the enoughness within is the motivator for us to continue doing the thing. So if we keep leading with perfection, and that equates to confidence, that's the whole backwards approach. Where confidence is actually the same value of worthiness. It's already in us. It's up to us to extract it, to step fully into it and become more confident. And how we become more confident is through repetition, through consistently showing up and doing the things, regardless of its messy, imperfect action or systems or processes. It's about taking courage to take that first step and become a more confident version of the person you already are today, which is enough. So perfection is really to blanket this all together, it's enough. Am I enough? So if we keep leading with that, we'll never be enough. And that's kind of the message that I want to share today, is the chase for enough does not equate to confidence, and confidence and enoughness are our inherent worth and value that's already within us.
That's right. The worth, the value, because you have life, therefore you have light within you, that is the value. Mm-hmm. And the rat race, the carrot hanging out there that so many of us chase is within worry and fear. that something might be missed, something might not be, something, and you can just put a blank there. It's like an algebra problem. Try and solve for X, but you don't have all of the pieces to solve for X. So it's not real. I love how you said it was an illusion. And so this idea of something there and you can't quite grasp it, because really that idea of wanting to check off the box about being enough, that the satisfaction is really within the moment of living and not with this added strange pressure of something, usually within some type of a negative voice within ourselves. Oh, that was good, but, or, these things could, but it's not the reality, because in the practice becomes the confidence. In the practice starts the learning. And if we're always a little bit off in the performance, we can then learn even more. And the concept really is helping, is coming to become that strong and confident person. And it takes the action and not just the sitting. You have to put into action and to allow things to move forward. You'll never increase or get better at anything if you're just philosophizing about it. You got to put in the action. So with your book, let's pop it up here, Chasing Perfection. And thank you so much for a great blog on Monday. It was awesome to read through that. And I know you put some bullet points in there for all of us. And if any of you out there read the blog, there's some important pieces that if you get the book, you will then know how to be guided on this concept that Rachel has discovered for herself. Before I lead into those bullet points, Rachel, what started you to write this book in the first place?
Well, funny you asked that, because to be honest with you, I didn't want to write it. That was not, I mean, I didn't think I was worthy even to own the story. So to be honest, it was divinely inspired. I was in the midst of my own personal growth and transformation journey after hitting rock bottom. And at the time I was just coming out of it, out of the pit per se. And I remember thinking, okay, I think I finally have enough information and knowledge and insight and wisdom to kind of figure out what is my next best step moving forward. But I didn't really understand that at that point. So I start sharing this with some individuals. At the time, I was working with a coach and a mentor. And I remember her telling me, she goes, "You're going to write a book." And I said, "Well, hold on. Are you not listening to this hot mess that I'm just telling you? Like, this is not me. I'm not a writer." And I had all these I am nots. I am not qualified. I am not a writer. I'm not even at a place that I could talk about these things. Everything. I just shot that down because that was fear speaking. And over our time of working together, she had, towards the end of our time spent, she said, "I really think that you should consider writing a book." And I said, "Thank you, I'll consider that." And then moving on, a few other people that I was openly sharing the story, because I was at a place in my life where I felt that I can actually talk about what I write in my book. Some of the past, the shame, the secrets, the traumas, the dramas, the things that we have carried with us our entire life. And I had another girlfriend also say the same thing. "You should write a book about that." So now I'm hearing this multiple times over and over. But as I'm stepping back and I'm putting the pieces together, I realized that God had redeemed and restored me in the bottom of this pit. And I had made a promise to him and said that if you help me get out of this pit, I will do the same, and I will help others get out of what they're going through and use my story to empower others to make that life change, to give them hope, to give them encouragement. And sure enough, I said, I think I'm ready to write that book. So God had planted the seed with other people as he had begun watering it and already transformed my life. So I said, I will write this book. And as I began writing it, I didn't know the intention of it. I didn't know where it was going. But at the time, I was working with a coach at the time, and I remember having a conversation with her. And she said, "Do you know who you're writing this book for?" And I said, "Yeah, it's for that one woman that I can help out there." And she said, "But do you know who you're writing this book for?" And I stepped back for a moment. I said, "For myself." And she said, "Exactly. When you start owning your story and you start stepping fully into it, that transformation continues on. It becomes a ripple effect. And by you sharing it, whether you write a book or tell bits and pieces of a story, storytelling is so important because it connects us. It creates that relatability. It allows somebody else on the other side to be seen, to be heard, to know that they matter. And that's really the connection element of what we in the works that we do as servant leaders or in a place of service. We are there to help others to get to the other side, whatever that hurdle is that they're overcoming. They need that help. But more importantly, sometimes they just need somebody there that believes in them and gives them that courage and confidence that says, I believe in you, and if you can do it, or if I could do it, you can do it. And that gives hope. And that gives back to what you, April, with your whole beacon of light, is that we all have this light within us that we have to be confident in it to shine bright for others to see. And that is the light that ignites confidence, hope, encouragement for us to continue doing what we're doing, to live here with, on, and for a purpose, because that's who God created us to be.
Yes. Great explanation. The confidence, the light, the reaching out, the hope, the service of, because we take ourselves out of the formula and yet we're still part, that we benefit. So when we take ourselves out because we want to reach someone else, the benefit actually comes back to us. So it's really interesting how service works, how helping others work. Because if we're constantly here, no one gets help, not even ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We think we are, but we're not. When we're reached beyond, the benefit comes back. It's really an awesome thing. And so I was just reading through on some of these bullet points that you have from the blog, and you talk about a juggling act
Mm-hmm.
and the guilty cycle, disconnect, the identity crisis, or your self-care struggles.
Mm-hmm.
This concept is, I guess it feels, or we make it become really
Yeah.
checklisty. There's
Yeah.
my verb for the day. It makes this idea of like, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, I have to do this, all these needs. But really, if you look back and allow the balls to drop in your juggling act, or allow the guilt to just kind of wash there for a minute, they're just moments.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go through them if you stop listening and buying the fear story, right?
Right, exactly. Because fear will keep us stuck. Fear will tell us that we're not worthy, that we're not enough, that we can't do this, who am I? And the list goes on. On top of that negative self-talk, that chatter it's always piping up. It's never us. It's just we have these conversations and dialogues with ourselves throughout the day that sometimes it's hard to discern which is the truth and which is the lie, because we've been feeding into it. We've been believing it for so long in our life that we've gotten this far thinking that that's actually who we are, that thinking mind is who we are. But that's not the truth of who we are. So when we start to separate ourselves, like our true selves, from our thinking mind, we're able to now discern and say, wait a minute, hold on. That's not who I am. And if you ever need a reference of who you are, it's in scripture. God tells you who you are. So you know that negative voice is not the voice of God, because it's telling you everything opposite of who you are. So having that discernment allows you to step back and say, okay, well, if I could see that now, what other areas of my life am I allowing lies and fear and insecurities and doubts and stories and narrative and people's perspective and persona of who we are impede in identity, pull us back. So those questions, about finding balance in life or to juggle all the things and trying to do them simultaneously and harmoniously and perfectly all at the same time is not realistic. So again, where are you in this journey? Asking yourself, that is the first step, figuring out where you're at. But secondly, who are you in this journey? Because the same person you are today is not the same person you were 10 years ago, will not be the same person you are 10 years from now. So accepting where you're at today is a great starting point to begin anew, to begin fresh, and start asking yourself, who am I? When you can answer those questions with honesty and conviction, you start now addressing the second question, which is, what is holding me back? Is it those voices? Is it the narrative? Is it the stories? Is it the past? Is it the mistakes? Is it the guilt? Is it the shame? There's so much that comes with it, with our identities, because they're all wrapped up is one big lump sum. It's one big bundle. When somebody says, who are you? We tend to lead with all the things that we're not, because underneath it, we don't even know who we are. We've been bombarded by all the things that are coming at us that it feels like our identity is under attack, which it is, if we think about it that way. But we are protected. We have the truth within us. We know who we are, but we have to again separate what is the reality and what is our inner reality. So there's external and the internal worlds, and sometimes they don't align. And so that's really this illusion of perfection, because it doesn't exist. So what other people think about us, or the narrative that we tell ourselves, is that truth. Question everything. So when we can question everything all the way down to our identity, we become more clear, concise, and we are right on that path, which is that path of truth. And that is what we have to seek. And that's the wisdom, that's the insight, that's the knowledge of who we are at the core. In core of identity is love, because we know that we were created with, on, and for a purpose, and we were created by our Creator, who is filled with love. He's the epitome of love, right? So that self-identity and holding firm to who He says we are will keep us confirmed, affirmed, and step fully into a confident version, because we know that truth doesn't waver.
Right. Truth is truth. And all of the lies and fears are trying to get us as far away from that. And if that's dragging us out, that might be a big clue to be like, maybe I need to go the other way. And in that reverse, it really is supportive. So you now feel confident within the story, and you've decided to write the book, and you have multiple people saying, write the book, write the book.
Yep.
So in the process of that, how is your book set up? Is it for that self-help? Is it self-discovery? Is it a memoir? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's kind of unique in its own. When somebody asks me what genre it is, to be honest, it's a memoir / self-help. And I did this intentionally because, one, I didn't want it to just be storytelling. I wanted there to be application. I wanted the reader to see themselves in my story. And when I say my story, again, I have a whole different walk than most people in life, but it's filled with pain, it's filled with joy, it's filled with heartache, heartbreak, but laughter and light and love and all the things, right? So if you're a human and you have experienced all of that, then you can find relatability in it. And at the end of each chapter, I position questions for the reader for them to take pause and accountability and inventory of their own story, of their own narrative, and their own lives. So when we're able to now see ourselves through the lens of others, it gives us, again, that hope and inspiration. It's tailored towards health and fitness and well-being. The subtitle of the book, so for the full context, it's Chasing Perfection, a journey to healing, fitness, and self-love. So when we have those pillars of healing, we can start moving forward more feeling whole and self-confident. When we step into fitness and health and well-being, we're building a foundation because we're taking care of this vessel, this body that we as a soul reside in. We're caring and nurturing for our minds, our spirit, our bodies. And when we look into what self-love is, self-love, is where we as individuals are loved, right? So if we're loved from our creator, the love resides in us, but we have to have a loving relationship with ourselves. So again, when we look at the two differences between the external and internal world, we tend to lead thinking that other people will fill us, other people will love us, other people can make us happy, other people will give us that peace and contentment. But the reality is all of that is within. So when we talk about love as love God and love others as you love yourself, but if you don't love yourself, how could you truly love others? So that question made me take pause in my story, and I was like, yeah, that is true. Do I even like myself? And that was a question, again, part of my whole identity. I had to revisit that question and ask myself, what does love look like? What does love feel like? And for me, I was caring for myself. I was listening to myself. I was nourishing myself. I was treating my own negative self-talk and reprogramming that, rewording that, rephrasing it with love and kindness and words of encouragement. I was rewriting my story from I am not to I am. I was flipping the script. So my whole framework in the book and even in the works that I do is about let go of limiting beliefs, redefine who you are, and create your own story. Your own story is built on truth, and where you seek truth is where you will find it. So again, that my faith plays a huge part of my life, my business, my book. I mean, everything that came from within, but I didn't have that awareness and insight prior to that.
It is so interesting that when we let go, we discovered so much more.
Oh yeah.
And I love how you said, it's within us. And in my mind, I hear Glinda, the good witch, right? It was with you all the time, right? You had it within you the whole time. And it's really a boiling down point of what the truth is. We are made of light. We're made from God. We are all God's children. Hello. You have it within yourself. And as you run away from that, deny it, or are afraid of it, or put in the list, doesn't matter. You still have it within yourself. It's just really the bravery to look within, to see that, trust it, and go with that. But I won't know the answers. None of us do. Let's go. Let's go have some fun anyway. Let's go explore and experience. So there's real importance in moving those, those dreams or ideas, even items, whatever, for the identity to continue forward. And sometimes we look to try to match for another human's description of us, another human being's description of us. Why not just go to the source?
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Whatever. So, in your book, let's pull it back up here again. Okay. So, Chasing Perfection, where can we get a copy of that?
You can find my book everywhere and anywhere books are sold online. You can find it in your local libraries. If it's not there, please ask. They can order it. And it's also available on Audible. So if you want, I can read it to you. And it's pretty cool that, having that experience where you can find on Kindle, paperback, hardcover, as well as audio.
That's great. So you have multiple sources so no excuses out there. If you're like, I'm too busy. Oh, audiobook. Sorry. Get on it, start looking. And, the concept is you'll be looking at Rachel's story, the application, the questions. You can see that as a guiding point to direct you back to scripture, to truth. And that's really the point of a self-help. It's the concept of we're all on a journey, and many of our lanes run close together. So my story might bleed into your lane a little bit. You might have understanding. We might have empathy together. And that's what I needed to lead me closer to more light and more hope, which ultimately comes from God. So if Rachel is one of those helpers along the way upon your journey to go back, great. She's cute. She's sweet. She's got great books out there. Let's go for it. And there's just something to remember that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a huge fearful lie that's really negative about, well, I'm the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
You might just want to look up from your heartache and, oh, hey, I didn't see you. Oh, you're there too. And if you're looking ahead what the light is, oh, he's there too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. He's there too. So I love it. So Rachel, I am so appreciative that you've been a part of this. And I've had Rachel on with my domestic violence awareness conference that happens in October. I've had her there, and she's been incredible to help so many people in different aspects of their life, because she said that she started within a pit. Anyone else ever start in a pit, or
Mm-hmm.
you're still in it? Well, this is a way to help realize that there are other people, and we can sit and learn and walk together within the journey. And she has application within her book to help go within the action, because if you just stay there in the pit, you'll, I don't know, stay in the pit.
Same of it. Yeah.
It's there. So the idea and concept, I don't believe that God puts anyone in a pit and says, see ya. You
Mm-hmm.
might feel that way, and that's the lie. If you really just look with your spiritual eyes, with that feeling, with a few steps, you'll see how that pit has light, even it's a pinpoint, and get going towards it. So really, we're all here not to just be, look at my things, look at me. We're to say, I see you. You need some help. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be fair? That'd be a fair evaluation.
100%. 100%. In fact, I even have a whole section in my book about this titled "You Are Not Alone." We walk this journey together. We walk different paths, but together we are guiding each other. We're hand holding. We are stronger together. And when we can get past where we're at today and realize that even though your journey might feel personal and unique to you, which it is, we're collectively walking the same path. And that's the strength in numbers. That's the encouragement. That's the hope. That's the know that no matter where I fall, somebody's there to catch me. Somebody will be there to support me, or somebody has already fallen ahead of me. So they know that I can get out of it quicker. I can get back up and build that resiliency. And, it's, again, this whole journey, no matter what you're going through, you're going to feel. Feelings are made exactly that. They're made to be felt. But when you are consumed by the feelings of overwhelm that it feels like is happening to you, that's when we need to pick our heads up and ask God for that help. Give us the strength. Give us the spiritual eyes, as April said. Give us the insight, because when we can step fully forward, we realize that that was just a hurdle, that there is something greater for us. And I love the whole approach of life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. But if we don't have that awareness to say and look back, wow, that all that stuff that I had to endure, that gave me hope, that gave me strength, that gave me confidence, that gave me power to step fully into my story. And now I get to give back and help somebody else along the way. But if I had become a victim of my own circumstances and my own story, I wouldn't be here today living the life that I'm called to do. I wouldn't have the business and the platform. I wouldn't have all these things. Again, this isn't about me. This was to give glory back to God, because I had made a promise and a vow and said, if you can help me through this and get me out of this pit, I promise to continue the good works that you've already begun in me. And that's true for everyone, because the good works is already started, because he already created that you are the work. So when we start believing that, And I know that could sometimes feel like, whoa, that's a big stretch. Like that's way out there. You'll get there, but you won't get there if we don't have the courage to get back up. If we don't have the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. And every time you try and take a step further and a step further and a step further, yes, you will fall. You'll have setbacks. You're going to have mishaps and mistakes, but that's all part of life. We're constantly learning, we're growing from these things. And the more that we step fully into ourselves as this new version of us, we become, again, more resilient. And with resiliency breeds confidence, because through confidence, it's through repetition. Every time we get knocked down, we get back up, get back up, get back up, get back up, right? We're more confident and more apt and more quick to bounce back. So we use our story as power to leverage our strengths, abilities, gifts, and skills, everything that God has equipped us for, to go out there and live that intention, that purpose that He's already set within our hearts. We've already been destined. God has already written the script. We cannot cheat our way through, and we cannot fail our way through. It's already written, but it's up for us to take that action. Because what I've learned is that if I didn't follow through in my calling, that's disobedience, right? So it's disobedience, but here I am praying out like, why aren't I there yet? And He's saying, well, have you gotten up? Have you done something about it? Well, no. And, as a child says to his father, all the excuses, all the things, but it's really up for us to take action and do something different, because that difference will be the difference maker.
Well said. Well said. I hope you all go out and grab a copy of this, Chasing Perfection, and know that what Rachel has to offer is a guiding hope and light back towards who you are, who created you, not who Rachel declares you as. You've already been declared. So we're just helpers along the way. That's all. So we want to share this hope and light with all of you. And I hope that something tonight that was said really touched you and you feel like this could help somebody, maybe yourself. And we really just appreciate all these fantastic authors. Thank you, everybody, for showing up here live tonight on the Beacon of Light podcast. We are so grateful. And we hope that more light will be continued to flow throughout your week. And we will see you next week, same time. Bye, everybody.